In the previous session, we covered and integrated the principles of the law of rhythm into our daily routine. In this session, we're going to cover the law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The Kabbalion. This principle explains that the differences between different manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit result largely from varying rates of vibration. From the absolute, which is pure, undifferentiated spirit, down to the grossest form of matter, all is vibration. The higher the vibration, the higher the position in the scale. The vibration of spirit is at such an infinite rate of intensity and rapidity that it is practically at rest, just as a rapidly moving wheel seems to be motionless. And at the other end of the scale, there are gross forms of matter whose vibration are so low as to seem at rest. Dr. David Hawkins, a widely known authority within the fields of consciousness, research, and spirituality, demonstrated over a 20-year period using a variety of kinesiology tests and examinations that every word, every thought, every emotion, and every intention has a measurable energy frequency that creates what is called a morphogenic field or attractor field. An understanding of the law of vibration enables one to control their own mental vibrations as well as those of others. This can be done through language. The construction of language is formed around phonology, which is a branch of linguistics that studies how languages or dialects systematically organize their sounds. Our vocal cords produce sound when they come together and then vibrate as air passes through them during exhalation of air from the lungs. This vibration produces the sound wave for your voice, which casts the phonetic structure of sounds. The nerve endings inside the inner ear transform the vibrations into electrical impulses that then travel along the auditory nerve to the brain. The brain then interprets these signals and our interpretation of language. In the English language, the word spell is of interest when it comes to the law of vibration, as it offers an intersection between language and the application of magic. Some of the definitions include to write, name, or orally recite the letters of, or give the spelling of, such as how do we spell this word, to indicate, such as I'm afraid this spells trouble, a noun, a period of indeterminate length, usually short, marked by some action or condition, such as a spell of good weather, to use as a psychological state induced by, such as enchantment or trance, or a verbal formula believed to have magical force, such as being placed under a charm or a magical spell. When giving instructions or a prayer or mantra, a spell is being put into the thought form and the intention is cast into existence. Leaders and prominent figures often use the media to cast spells. For example, the reason why Hollywood is called Hollywood is because ancient druids, a class of Celtic or Celtic priests, magicians, wizards, and diviners, use holly, the evergreen tree, to make their wands to cast spells. When we go to the movie screens projects the cast performance into our consciousness. Same thing for TV. When we watch TV, our consciousness and behavior is being conditioned, which is why we call it TV programs. Have you ever watched a scene from a show or a movie only to find yourself in a similar situation? Well, having already received the spell allows us to activate the program when certain stimuli has been triggered. Many people watching the same movies and shows can create a network effect. News stations and corporations do this through imagined communities. Members of the community probably will never know the majority of other members face to face. However, they may have similar interests or identify as being part of the same nation or platform. Members hold in their minds a mental image of their affinity. This is done daily when we go to our news sources to find out what's happening in our local region. Many of us in shared communities are going to the same news sources, and there's a sense of shared identity through the use of a common language, knowledge, experiences, and worldview depicted in the message that's being communicated. However, there are forces in this world that benefit from sowing division, conflict, and chaos through the same apparatuses so as to mold life to their imagined ideals. This is why the Common Essence Foundation was created, to support the teachings of unity consciousness. The last image in the presentation is the Hindi sign Om. When said out loud, Om or Om actually sounds like a three-part word. The A represents creation, U is manifestation, and M is destruction. It's basically all-encompassing, the whole universe joined into a single sound. It represents the union of the body, the mind, and the spirit. The origin of Om has a connection to an ancient Egyptian deity known as Amun, which is known as the Hidden One. It's also known in the West African Dogon tribe, described as Amma, which is known to them as the Creator. The root connection to the law of vibration is why Christians, Muslims, and Jewish people say Amen or Amen at the end of a prayer. It speaks to their creation story. In Christianity, this creation story is referred to in the third verse of the book of Genesis in the King James Bible. It reads in context: 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. 3. And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. 4. And God saw the light, and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. This creation story is of a common heritage of divine wisdom, and it speaks to the properties of the sine wave that gives form to power, sound, and light. To learn more information about the law of vibration, feel free to visit the Foundation's Ko-fi page. The next session, we'll be covering the law of mentalism.